Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar on the impact of the coronavirus on your finances. We'll actually like to have this program live so that you can ask questions and respond immediately. However, because of situation of things, at least that's one of the reasons why we are here. We won't be able to have it live, so you will not be able to send your questions to us directly for us to respond immediately. But hopefully next time we're having this probably next month. It will be live and you'll be able to ask questions. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Moses Ahmed. Here I'm a research analyst, and I have my colleague here.
I'm Doye Makiroki. I'm also a research analyst at Investment One.
I think people will be wondering, okay, coronavirus, what is this virus? You should not assume that a lot of people out there, they know what coronavirus is. Maybe you should just explain it a little bit. Of course, we are not experts in medicine, but we are in finance, but we should be able to say a little bit about the virus.
So coronavirus is no news to anybody who's viewing this webinar. We've had the virus for as long as since the beginning of the year. It's a virus which has now touched, I think by now we should be over 500,000 cases. It's touched over 500,000 lives, over 190 countries, and it has really led to devastating impacts for policy leaders, for all sorts of events have had to shut down, historic milestones, all sorts of things. So it's no stranger to our viewers today. But today we're here to talk about the coronavirus and its impact, particularly looking at taking a local perspective on the investment space in Nigeria. So how does it affect your finances? How does it affect your investments? What can you do, to mitigate some of these financial impacts? What can you do to better prepare yourself? And also, what opportunities are there for you to take advantage of? So we'll just be going into some of these things in due course.
Like I said, it may affect your finance, but I still know that many of you will still be thinking, how really affect your finance? It's going to your investment, your asset, your wealth, particularly your liquid asset, how it's going to affect it. So we're here. So let's take it by asset. While I give my opinion on each asset, my colleague also tell us about his own view for each asset. So we start from equities. How will it affect, in case you're an investor out there, you bought shares in the time past, maybe you have bought shares and then probably you've even used our Zinc to buy shares, and you're wondering now that you bought shares, what's going to happen to that shares? I think I will tell you the truth. There's panic, and people have been selling, and the market has been down. We think this may actually still be there. The environment is still not clear. Companies are shutting down, and these are the companies that are listed on the exchange. So you expect it to affect their performance, and it means your holding in equities may likely go down. And again, we advise people that when you buy shares, it's going to be for a long time. There may be a cycle. It's a cycle anyway. So just like business cycle. So equities might go down and up. This is one of the periods where we see prices going down again. And we will advise you not to be panicked. But again, if you see opportunities, you see opportunities in the market, you can even buy. Of course, at this point, I know that many of you will be thinking, where's the money? Where people are trying to hold cash? Yes, you may have to allocate assets based on that. So you allocate part of it for cash, because you need cash at this time to buy food and drugs, and then allocate a little bit investment, because hopefully after this situation or after this crisis, everything will be back, and we'll now look at investment. But at that time, most of the prices you've seen today would have moved by that time, and you may actually be thinking that maybe you didn't make the right decision. I think my colleague can also say more about equities markets.
So as regards the equities market, I've had a lot of people say the equities market is going down now, that as much as they want to invest, they're quite scared, and rightly so. The equities market is a risky investment. Market can go up and can go down. It's not like fixed income where you're assured of your principal and also your interest. But as regards the equities market, as Moses rightly said, the coronavirus is also affecting companies. A lot of these companies are listed on the stock exchange. You can think about this, just thinking about how it will affect your favorite bank, with people doing less banking transactions, for example, or a consumer good such as Nestle, maybe people consuming more because of the effects of the coronavirus. So for a lot of companies this year, not just in Nigeria, all over the world, will be hit by the effects of the virus. For example, if there's a shutdown, authorized by the Lagos state government, by the federal government, then we would really see business activities go down, and it's negative for the equities market. But with every downside, there's also an upside to look forward to. So I'm talking about taking advantage of some of the interesting names in the stock market. The solid companies in Nigeria. We're talking about MTN, Dangote Cement, GTB. These names, if you pick them up at really decent prices, which they are currently trading at right now, some of them are trading at the lowest that we've seen for a very long time, for a number of years. So if you pick these stocks up and you also look to a long-term horizon, very hard to see how you can get that decision wrong.
So, let's just look. I think he has done justice to that explanation on equities. So, what it means is that you shouldn't be panic when you check your portfolio and you see that it has gone down a little bit or it has gone down significantly. Actually, I understand. A lot of people is going to see that, but again, like I said, if you have more money that you can keep in the market for a while, maybe for a year or 2 years, then you should actually be looking at some of these names, because the prices at which they are trading now are prices that you may probably not see them in the near term, maybe not in the next 2 years again, because once the crisis is over, we're expecting things to get back to normal and your investment will also pick up as well. And that's for equity. So we go to fixed income. In case you have bought fixed income through our platform using our Zinc to buy fixed income instrument, you'll also be wondering how will it affect your investment in it. Luckily for you, to a large extent, probably since you are investing in a Naira denominated assets, you are still, your risk is not so high for you. I won't say there's no risk, but again, the risk is limited. Consider the fact that most of these instruments are the underlying asset for some of these instruments you are buying, they are government instruments. So most of the fixed income investment that you would have invested in actually the underlying asset for those instruments are government instruments like treasury bills and bonds or other government instruments out there. So pretty much most of these investments are not really the risk is very low. So what it means is that in a worst case scenario, we think CBN or federal government can still instruct CBN or take loan from CBN to pay you off in case there's an issue in terms of revenue, because we all know that government revenue this time around will shrink. It means the government will have to borrow more. But again, like I said, it's a risky instrument, but that is not to say that you have zero risk, but its risk is low. So in case you have a lot of investment in fixed income, risk is very low. So you are expected to have a little risk even in this period. But like we said, if this market is going to face more of this risk, maybe they will say more about or have something to that aspect.
So for fixed income, I'm very sure a lot of the viewers today are quite conversant with the Zinc app. An interesting fixed income instrument which I think you can key into is, it's not quite government bonds, but it's offering you much higher than you would see on your 1-year government bond notes. So on the Zinc app, there's actually different segments which you can use to save, to imbibe a savings culture. And so you have the Z Save, which offers you about 5%, which is quite higher than what you would see elsewhere. And you also have the Z Plan, which offers, I think, about 9 to 10% annually. So that's quite attractive if you're talking about fixed income. Alternatively, if you also wish to buy federal government or other fixed income assets, I think it's also something you can look to. I always like to preach portfolio diversification, which I think every investor should be looking forward to. As attractive as I previously mentioned, a lot of the equity prices are quite depressed all over the world. As attractive as those prices are, when you look at valuations, intrinsic value, and so on and so forth, it's also quite important to kind of diversify your risk. Always try and look to diversify your portfolio, maybe put in some fixed income instruments there to just hedge against the volatility that you would see in the equity space. So I think for fixed income, that's something interesting. Maybe Moses would like to talk on currency. Maybe some people here, some people viewing would like to play in the currency space. Of course, there's a lot of currency volatility going on right now. Even if you look at the Naira dollar play. So Moses, what do you think?
So for me, I think for currencies, to a large extent, if you have bought a foreign asset or you invested in dollar, particularly, I think you have made the right decision. I think with the current devaluation, we've seen one, and our view is that it doesn't look likely that that's going to be the end of the devaluation, because the risk, the factors that caused or that drove that are still very much there. We can't even say for how long the factors may last. So it appears to me that you have made the right decision. And then I will say advice for those of you who have bought an asset in dollars to actually keep your holdings, and most of them are even giving you a good return that you can even compare to what you get in treasury bills, considering the fact that once you invested in that, it's a safe haven, because when you're talking about risk, everybody is trying to run to dollars. And for those of you that have invested in dollar-denominated assets, I think you have made the right decision. And you are facing, to me, I think you are facing less risk this time around, especially when you compare what you expect in terms of Naira dollar exchange rate going forward. So I think for me, you are the set of people that have made the best decision at this time so far, because it appears the risky assets are really, especially Naira-denominated assets, are still not stability. We don't see stability in Naira-denominated assets now. So it means if you have bought dollars, invested in Eurobond particularly, I think of course there's still risk for that one, so I have to highlight that. Of course, Nigerian, if let's say you have invested in a sovereign Eurobond issued by Nigeria, it means yes, still risk, because that's why some of these FPIs are even selling our Eurobond. It means they are looking at the possibility of Nigeria getting enough FX to pay coupon and even to pay principal at maturity. So that's the risk side of it, because it's pertinent for us to also explain that as much as we are saying, oh, we are taking the right decision, doesn't mean that you have zero risk. There are still risks out there for you to also consider. But like I said, is when you want to make return, you have to expect a level of risk taking. So that's what we see. Then the question that many of us will now be asking is that, so what do we need to do to save myself from this, or going forward? Let's say all these things we've said so far, they are more historical, maybe what you have done in the past. Now the question is, what do I need to do? Many of you be thinking, okay, what do I do to make sure that my finances or my assets are still preserved, even if you're not going to get so much from what you have today? You want to make sure that it doesn't go down from the current level. They have pretty much, I think, for equities market, most of them are already. It appears they already reached their support level. Most of the stocks, actually the fundamental ones, they are around their support level. But before I go to that on deeply, I have to say, okay, you have to allocate whatever you have now. The cash, I must tell you the truth, you need to keep cash because of the potential lockdown. If you see a lockdown today, you need cash. So to make sure that you are fine. It's someone that's still alive that will spend money. So you have to make sure you're okay, and you need to keep cash for precautionary purpose. So you need to keep part of that money. At the same time, you need to have money. Keep part of your money if you have the capacity. You need to keep part of that money to take advantage of some of these assets that we're talking about, because stocks may still go a little bit lower than what we see today. And if that happens, it will be a very good opportunity for you to start buying some of those things, provided you have not been buying them before. And this time around, I think this is not the time for people to start spending lavishly. It's not the time for you to spend on things that are not essential, because we're in crisis period. So you need to manage, because don't forget, how will coronavirus affect my finances? Your finances is beyond your investment. It also includes your lifestyle. You try as much as possible to make sure that you improve your lifestyle, particularly in terms of your finance. So this time around, we have advised a frugal lifestyle, frugal spending. This is not the time to be buying phones, for example. If you have a phone, you can manage it. This is not the time, probably not the time for you to be buying those things that you know that they are not really essential. You need to buy things that will make it survive this period. At the same time, you have to invest, because once this period is over, if you exhaust all the money you have and you don't have investment, you may actually experience hardship after this period. And that's what we don't want for our users, for our clients. We don't want them to experience this. And that's why we're here. We're organizing this so that people can know what to do, even in the face of crisis, as much as there's panic buy out there or panic sell, panic buy for goods and stuff, and panic sell in terms of investment. But again, we advise our investors to be calm, and that's why we are there to advise them and to make sure that they make the best decision. So for me, I think you allocate your money in terms of having cash for precautionary purpose, and also set aside a little bit for investment, so that I can take advantage of what's happening in the market. Maybe they can also say something for our clients to know what they need to do in a time like this in terms of managing their budget, particularly.
In times like this, one thing I'm going to mention is actually sort of an afterthought. So I would always encourage people to imbibe the savings culture. This is one thing that we don't really have in Nigeria. Nigeria is really, even the country itself kind of runs on let's live day by day, and let's see how tomorrow takes care of itself. Well, I would really advise that the viewers on the other side of the screen, take advantage of some of the savings platforms that we have available in Nigeria and also abroad. For example, a savings platform such as the Zinc offers a variety of options. As Moses has rightly highlighted, you can do fixed income, you can do equities. It also has some savings plans for whether you just feel like saving or you're saving towards a particular goal. I think if you really take advantage of these, for one, it helps you imbibe the culture, and two, it helps you have some sort of rainy day fund, so to speak. So in times like this, where things are very uncertain, you don't even know if there's going to be a lockdown. Some companies might have to slash salaries. All sorts of things could happen. Or maybe you're a business owner and there's a lockdown and you can't, all of a sudden you can't conduct your business as usual. It's going to be an issue for you. And one thing I'd really advise is that people start taking up a savings culture. And even if you have one, be more strict with yourself, be more frugal, be more mindful of your spendings, and have a long-term view. When you earn money, what are you going to do with this money? Don't spend like 80% of your money. Always look to invest and save, as Moses has rightly said. Another thing is, right now there's a lot of panic buying. I'm seeing people buy a lot of things that they do not need, and this is certainly not something you should be doing. It's certainly not something you should be doing in times like this. Seeing people buy milk that literally can last them for 2 months. We all know milk gets bad in like quick time. So in panic, it's panic mode. Yes, all over the world, the whole world is panicking. Everybody is scrambling. But we'd advise that try to rationally plan out your expenditures. Try to rationally plan out your lifestyle, and try and follow that strictly. Be very strict with yourself, and try and have this more towards saving and investing lifestyle. Try and cut out on excessive or spendings that you can defer to the future. Try and cut out on them right now and just focus more on saving and investing. And when you have this, I think going into the future, if there's a panic mode, there's a panic situation such as this, or anything of the sort, I think you would be in a better stead. But I think these are afterthoughts. Right now, a lot of people are actually wondering, what do I do going forward? What investment opportunities are there available? And I think this also is something that we will be talking about extensively. What investment opportunities are actually available? I think we've spoken about some of them. Moses, maybe you want to give the people some investment advice.
Okay, so like we said, I think this time around, most people that will be buying this time around, if you are one of them, I think you are most likely going to be buying stocks at levels that you may not actually, like I said, because of the fear, panic, everybody's just selling their investment, particularly in equities market, and FPIs are also leaving because of fear of devaluation. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing massive sell-offs in the equities market. And I believe that this actually presents very good opportunities for some of these names, because by the time you look at what some of these stocks are trading now, looking at their books and their performance in the past, I understand that probably we will not do the same thing in 2020 because of this coronavirus. But again, we have to look beyond 2020 and say, beyond 2020, do they have the ability to bounce back and recover? And that's one of those things you should be looking out for. And when you want to buy now, you pick some of the fundamental stocks, like we always say. We pick names that over time they've been able to survive, and they're most likely going to survive in this period. This is not a time to speculate. Another thing I want to add for us is that many of us have seen different investments out there that will be often giving 50% return, 60% return in 6 months. I think this time we have to be careful of some of those returns, because some of those companies, they are actually highly risky, and considering the fact that the crisis is a looming crisis around the world now, it appears that some of them, they actually struggle to deliver that kind of return. I'm not saying they won't deliver it, but they actually struggle to deliver that return. So that's why this time around, as much as I know you want to make more money, you want to increase your wealth, but again, you have to be careful and know the risk you are taking, because once you see those kind of returns, you ask yourself another question: are they sure that this money will come? I'm not sure. They're pretty sure they can guarantee you that money. Of course, there is risk in every investment, but I think when you take those kind of investments, you have to be careful, because some of them are in agri. Well, agri, we expect agri to still do very well, but again, if some of them are exposed to external parties, maybe the plan has been to export what they are planning to invest in. This time around, they may face challenges in terms of exporting those products. So I think we have to be careful of the returns that some of these guys promise out there, because most of them will not likely tell you about the risk. They will just tell you the return, and that's just to attract you. So we should be careful of that. And I think for our Zinc platform, I think when Dave was talking about invest or savings the other time, I think you have a product where you can actually put it there that a particular amount should be deducted from your account, meaning that, let's say, for example, you want 5,000 to be deducted from your account every month or every week, depending on the way you want it. We have something like that on our Zinc app that you can help you to do that one. That in a way will help you to manage your savings, provided you don't really have a savings culture. That will help you to actually save, but before you know it, you just cover that you have a lot of money in your account. So I think that will also help. Apart from using a platform, we talk about equities. You can also do that on our platform. You can also buy a mutual fund. It's something that you can also consider. That is good for, especially for investors who are not so savvy about investment. It's going to be managed by professionals who have enough experience, and that's actually good for you when you're considering a period like this. So I think beyond that, so I think we've told you a lot about how you manage your finances, what's investment out there you should be looking at. I think if you have more inquiry, you can always forward it to us about that part. But another question I know may be running to your mind now is, okay, we're talking about people should invest, people should do this, there's opportunities out there. The fear of coronavirus is still going to be very much in your mind. It's going to be very much in everybody's mind. And the next question that will be in your mind is, well, with this thing. And well, we're not scientists, we are not in that field. We don't really know how long it will take them to actually achieve that. But we believe that it may still take a while. And then our hope is that within 6 to 12 months, everything will be back to normal, like full normal. But the next question is, if there's a full outbreak, what's going to happen? Well, for us, we don't pray for that, but if that happens, there may be massive economic depression, and inflation may pick up, unemployment may be very high, and then the part of it that we don't want to hear is mortality rate may increase if this coronavirus continues to spread in Nigeria. But we don't pray for that situation to happen. But at the same time, it will always do you good, even if unemployment rate increases rather, and inflation increases further. The best way you can hedge against this kind of risk is to also invest, like we have been saying. So I think that will do justice to that. But hopefully, we think since we get back to normal in the next 6 to 12 months, that's our hope. And maybe they will help us to talk more about what government is doing to make sure that this pandemic or this crisis doesn't overwhelm the whole economy or doesn't slow the economy. That appears that CBN has been doing a lot. Maybe they will help us to say more about that.
So as I'm very sure everybody is very conversant with the news. These days, more than ever, people are watching the news. We have heard of the U.S. government releasing about $2 trillion signed on the 25th of March 2020. A lot of governments are going ahead to pledge support to the alien economy as we all anticipate the economy being hit significantly with all sorts of things, lockdowns, reduced trade, airlines being shut down, airports being shut down. And Nigeria has not fallen behind. The CBN has actually come out to release some not only policy initiatives, but also to pledge some funds for support. So recently, the CBN came out to pledge about 3.5 trillion naira to support the manufacturing sector, to support MSMEs, and also to support pharmaceutical companies. I think it listed some pharmaceutical companies, notably Mayor Baker, fits in, just to mention a few. Also, the federal government, on the other hand, has not really, they haven't really, besides the decision to cut fuel price, which I'm very sure a number of you are enjoying, the 25 naira per liter fuel. Besides that, we haven't really seen the federal government come out to pledge some of these hefty fiscal packages, which a lot of governments have. And I think the reason is quite clear. Revenue for the federal government is not so strong, particularly recently. If you talk about oil prices falling due to low demand all over the world. With reduced economic activities, you have lower oil demand, prices falling, and also the decision to slash prices by oil sellers, that has also affected the oil price. So oil receipts for Nigeria has gone quite low, which also tumbles into fiscal issues. But notwithstanding, we expect the government to, in due time, support the economy in the best way that they can. We also anticipate that there may be shutdowns in the coming days in a bid to sort of block out the spread of the virus as much as state governments and federal governments can. But as I previously mentioned, CBN has come out to support the economy in every way that they can. So we just hope that this virus would not, as Moses mentioned, nobody knows when it will end. But we just hope that the virus does not stay on for too long, because we all know that it has devastating impacts on the economic activities in Nigeria and all over the world. So on that note, we would like to close the webinar. We'd just like to mention a few things. If you have any questions, you can forward these questions to us, and the email address, you can email any inquiries, any questions. If you have any, if you want to know how better you can manage your funds, how better you can follow all these investment advice and also opportunities, you can email enquiries.investment-1, that's one as a word.com. So we have enquiries investment-one.com. You can also email hello@zingit.com. The zing is a double I. And also, we'd advise that you take a look at the research portal which Investment One Financial Services research team put together for clients and also potential clients. So the website for that is myresearch.investment-one.com. myresearch.investment-one.com. In the spirit of the coronavirus, we just implore everybody to adopt social distancing. If you're coming from a high-risk country or even state, do your best to isolate, practice some self-isolation, do your best not to handshake, just try and keep to yourself. And if you can't keep to yourself, exercise precaution, not only for your sake, but also to curtail the spread that we have seen, not only in Nigeria, but all over the world. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask something.
No, our time is over.